Hi everyone. Today's video is on figures, but I've done them a little bit different. I've taken two sketches from my sketchbook and put them together into one composition on the canvas. If we haven't met before, I'm Pat from Scrivener Art and Design on Vancouver Island in Canada. I love teaching, I love inspiring other artists, and I really value any feedback or comments and questions that you leave. If you are interested in workshops and learning more, I can help you with that. I have some figurative workshops coming up in my studio and also on Zoom, so you can come in from anywhere. I'll leave the links below in the description, and I hope to see you at one of the workshops. Okay, on to the video. I have my figures sketched onto the canvas. I've just used graphite to do this, and now I'm painting over it with quinacridone magenta, and I've got it quite thinned down, squirting some water on it. Allowed it to dribble a bit. Now I'm going back in and putting some collage elements on just randomly. I'm using a fluid gloss medium or matte medium to do this. Either one will work. You want to be sure that you seal over top as well as underneath. Smooth it down so that you get rid of any air bubbles. You can use a brayer for that, a scraper, or your finger. I'm coming in now with a smaller brush, negative painting around the feet and the legs. I call this the blocking in stage. I'm not trying for perfection. I'm just trying to quickly block in the shapes, the negative shapes, so the positive pops out. Corrections, color changes can all be made later. So you're starting to see the feet and the legs emerge. I've switched to my Liquitex paddle brush with a neutral color to go in around the figures. So I've made the neutral color from the colors on my palette. The Liquitex paddle brush gives you a lot of control and allows you to cover a lot of area quickly. It feels quite ergonomic in your hand, which is important, I think, that you feel comfortable, that your hand doesn't get overly tired. This is why it's also good to change your brushes, because it gives your hand a different way of gripping. If you paint for long stretches of time, you want to be mindful of stretching out your hands, shaking them out, taking a break, just so that those muscles have a chance to relax. This is something that I have learned as a musician, playing both the piano and harp, that it's really important to do exercises to help your muscles relax in your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your scapula. The whole upper body can really get stiff with doing this work. So just be aware of that. Take some breaks often. Don't be in front of your easel for long periods of time. I've switched now to a 1-inch flat brush. I use inexpensive brushes. I find the children's Crayola brushes to be very good, very inexpensive, and if I don't clean them properly, I'm not going to cry. Now I'm coming back in the top area here again with my Liquitex paddle brush and putting in a different color, something that would resemble a sky. So this is the blocking in stage. You can see the figures. They have popped out now. Now I'm painting in the dress with a cobalt teal from Golden. I like to leave a bit of outline from the underpainting. This is one reason to do a base color, is that you can have little bits of it showing through and around the edges, and it can really help hinge your painting together. This also is a Liquitex brush, which is narrower, but still has a short handle. It's about 1 inch in width. I've got a catalyst blade here with a little divots in that I'm scratching back into the painting. I've mixed up a lime green color for this gal. Remember, this is the block in stage. If you don't really love the color that you mixed, don't sweat about it, because you can always paint over it. Acrylic dries quite quickly. Sometimes you can work wet and wet without creating a brown or mud, as we sometimes call it. But if you allow it to dry, it doesn't take long. You can also hit it with low heat on a blow dryer and speed up the process. Here I'm using a bamboo skewer to just scrape back in, make some marks while the paint is still wet. Coming in with more green paint here, just making it a little bit thicker and juicier. I'm using pure black paint now to paint in the shoes. I don't use a lot of black paint, but sometimes it's just easier than mixing a color. Or I'll start with a black just to put in my darks and then mix a juicier black to put on top. You have to be careful with black. It can act as a hole in your painting, absorbing way too much of the light and making it a very dark spot. So just be cautious about using black. Just working on the pole here. Now deciding to change the color of the purse to the cat orange. So oftentimes things are painted more than once to get the feel of the painting to look right. You'll see as I go forward in this painting that the purse does change again. Just putting a little color on the face and the hands here. This is just the orange I used on the purse with some white in it. Still trying to retain some of that pink underpainting. Blocking in the hand. Bringing that same color down into the legs. So 2 legs there, one behind the other. So in order to make it look like 2 legs, I'm going to have to work in the shading appropriately. I'm not worried about the skin tones being accurate, but more that they tone in with my painting. Putting a shadow side on the leg can give it a lot of dimension so it doesn't look so flat. Now I'm adding a little spot of orange to the bottom just for a better connection in the painting, giving it a little bit more interest, drawing attention to that line that goes across. Now I'm reducing that orange down a little bit and changing my background color at the bottom. So I've mixed up a lighter tone in a kind of a gray blue shade. Again, just using the colors on my palette. Now you can see that this is starting to pop the shoes forward more, and this pole is going to pop forward more as well. This will give the painting more depth. Just tidying up around the shoes here. Adding a little bit of a shadow. Adding some orange back in. I let too much of it go. So just adding a hint of a line there. I'm going to add some collage here, and I'm using a quilting cotton, a small square that you can buy at the quilting store. You can get little packages of various types of pattern, and they're very thin, so it works very well for collage. I'm using a matte medium to glue it down. Just adding a little extension onto the top there. It didn't look quite right. And I'm sealing it in with the medium as well. That's super important. I'm changing the color of her skirt now to be a bit darker. Adding a little bit of that green in a few places here just so that it connects. A highlight in the back leg so that you can see the difference between the two legs there. If you are interested in learning to paint figures, I have some online and studio workshops coming up. I have the links below. You can check them out, and if you're interested, I'd love to have you. Thanks for watching.